Every single night, your brain does something deeply, profoundly strange. It seals you off from the world. It generates a fake reality. It makes you believe that reality is real until you wake up and it evaporates. We call it dreaming. We act like we understand it. We don't. But here's the question nobody asks. Did the humans who lived 50,000 years ago, who hunted mammoths, who painted caves, who barely survived winters that would kill us in a week, did they lie down at night and dream the same dreams we do? And if they did, what did those dreams mean to them? Let's get one thing out of the way first. The neuroscience of dreaming is still embarrassingly incomplete. We know where it happens, REM sleep, the rapid eye movement phase where brain activity spikes and your body goes deliberately paralyzed so you don't physically act out whatever your unconscious is producing. We know roughly when it happens. We know almost nothing about why. The leading theories range from memory consolidation to threat simulation to pure neural noise. Smart people with expensive equipment cannot agree. That's important context because we're about to go back 50,000 years and speculate. But the speculation is grounded in real evidence. Cave paintings, burial rituals, the structure of the ancient brain itself. So hold that thought. We'll come back to it. Here's the first thing you need to know. The human brain has not meaningfully changed in approximately 300,000 years. The Homo sapiens who emerged in Africa a few hundred millennia ago had the same cortex, the same limbic system, the same sleeping architecture we have today. Same REM cycles, same hippocampus running memory loops at night, same amygdala firing emotional responses during sleep. Biologically, neurologically, they were us, which means they almost certainly dreamed. The hardware was identical. The question isn't whether they experienced REM sleep. They did. The question is what happened inside their minds when they did. And crucially, what they thought it meant. Because here's where it gets genuinely strange. Every known human culture in recorded history, every single one, has assigned meaning to dreams. Not some of them. All of them. Ancient Egyptians, Mesopotamian civilizations, indigenous cultures across every continent, medieval Europeans, they all treated dreams not as random noise but as messages, signals, transmissions from somewhere important. That level of universality doesn't happen by accident. The earliest potential evidence of dream-related thought doesn't come from writing. It comes from caves. The cave paintings at Lascaux in France, at Altamira in Spain, at Chauvet. These images are between 17,000 and 35,000 years old, and they've always been framed as hunting records, or ritual art, or early storytelling. But some researchers now argue something more specific. The caves themselves were chosen deliberately. Deep, dark, acoustically resonant chambers far from any daylight. Getting to the painting surfaces required navigating pitch-black tunnels for hours. The sensory deprivation alone, in a firelit space deep underground, would induce altered states of consciousness that closely resemble the hypnagogic phase, the transition between waking and dreaming. The images themselves are strange in ways that map onto dream logic. Animals with multiple legs suggesting motion. Human-animal hybrid figures. Creatures that don't exist. Floating forms with no ground beneath them. These are not realistic hunting records. These look like someone tried to paint what they saw with their eyes closed. The second piece of evidence is burial. Neanderthals, our closest extinct relatives, buried their dead with flowers and objects as far back as 60,000 years ago. Homo sapiens were doing it even earlier, and burial, at its philosophical core, implies a belief in something that continues after death, a persistence beyond the body. Where does that idea come from? Dreams. When you dream about someone who has died, and almost every human does, they are vivid. Present, alive. The ancient mind, with no neuroscience to explain it, would have had a completely rational conclusion. The dead visit you at night. They still exist somewhere. Sleep is a portal. Burial goods, food, tools, weapons placed with the dead make perfect sense if the living genuinely believed the dead were going somewhere and might need supplies. That belief almost certainly had its architecture in dream experience. But here's where it gets complicated. Did ancient humans experience dreams the same way we do neurologically? Or did the content differ? Did the same brain produce radically different dreams based on the environment it was processing? Think about what an ancient human's daily life loaded into their memory banks. Predator encounters, starvation, extreme cold, the sudden violent deaths of people they knew, the complete absence of artificial light after sunset. A soundscape we can barely imagine. No traffic, no electronics, just wind and animals and fire. What does that brain dream about at night? The most compelling scientific framework for why we dream is called threat simulation theory. The idea is simple and brutal. Dreaming is your brain running threat rehearsals, practicing responses to danger, stress testing your reactions to predators, enemies, disasters, so that when the real version shows up, you're not encountering it for the first time. If that's true, ancient human dreams would have been significantly more intense than ours. The threats were real, immediate, and lethal. A saber-toothed cat wasn't a metaphor. Freezing to death wasn't an abstract anxiety. Running out of food wasn't financial stress. It was starvation. The brain processing those threats at night would have produced extraordinarily vivid, high-stakes, terror-saturated dreams on a nightly basis. Humans today report the most memorable, emotionally intense dreams during periods of acute stress or danger. Soldiers in combat zones, survivors of disasters, people facing genuine mortal threat. What ancient humans experienced every day was, by modern comparison, extreme. Their ordinary nights may have been our worst nightmares. Regularly, without exception, and yet, across all of this, something connects ancient dreamers to modern ones. The symbols recur: being chased, falling, flying, losing teeth, arriving somewhere unprepared, encountering the dead. These are documented across cultures, across millennia, across every population researchers have studied. A person in ancient Mesopotamia 4,000 years ago recorded a dream about being chased. A person in Edo period Japan wrote about falling dreams. People today report the same ones. The specific threat changes, the dream structure doesn't, which suggests something about these experiences is hardwired, generated by the same ancient emotional and survival architecture that hasn't changed in 300,000 years. The brain that processed predators by dreaming about being chased is the same brain processing social anxiety by dreaming about being chased. Different world, same dream. You and a human who painted cave walls 30,000 years ago share something more intimate than language, more personal than culture. You share the same nightmares. So, did ancient humans dream the same way we do? Almost certainly yes, on a neurological level. The hardware was identical. The REM cycles ran. The brain replayed, rehearsed, and processed at night exactly as yours does now. The content was shaped by a world we can barely imagine. Darker, louder, more dangerous, more present. But the structure of the experience, the falling, the chasing, the dead who visit, the places that shift and dissolve, that was the same. And when they woke up, they did something we stopped doing relatively recently. They took it seriously. They treated the dream as information, as a message, as a window into something real. Maybe they were wrong about the source, but they weren't wrong that the experience mattered. The most ancient version of you, in a cave somewhere, just woke up from something terrifying, heart pounding, dark around them, the fire low, and they lay there wondering exactly what you wonder sometimes. What was that? If your brain just connected something it wasn't expecting. That's the whole point. Subscribe, because we go to these places every video. The weird, dark, genuinely unresolved corners of what it meant to be human. The next one might hit closer to home than you think.